Okay, birch bark can be used for many things. The birch tree can be used for many things. What we're going to do is make birch tar and birch oil. This is from the paper or white birch. It's very distinct bark. It's whitish, grayish, almost looks watercolored, with vertical slits in it. It likes to scroll up and look shaggy at times. But birch tar, the first time they found its evidence of its use was 86,000 BCE. A Neanderthal had it on his spear point, adhering that to the shaft. And once again, that's 86,000 BCE. And then for humans, as far back as they found it is 9,000 BCE. And it was actually birch tar used as chewing gum, where they chewed on it and the human teeth marks were still in it. So that's what we're going to be working on. I'll go through the uses later on. Okay, what I'm going to make today is birch oil and birch tar. There's two processes to this. One way you would just use one vessel, and that you would make birch tar in. An easy way of doing it, you would just put your birch bark in there and distill it, and leave the ashes right in there, and at that point mix them all up and you would have birch tar. Okay, you might have to do a small amount of refining to get rid of some of the flammable upper layer, but that's the way you do that. But I want to do both, so I'm going to have to use a separate vessel. Hopefully it's large enough, but this is a large chunk white chicken can. This will be placed in the fire, and then the second vessel will be placed upside down, and obviously I got to clean this out, but upside down on top of it. And then as it drains out, the oil will come out into your can, and then you can have your oil for its properties, its uses. But then you could also make tar out of that by distilling it down, by reducing it down further till it's thicker. You can also add ash to it to make the tar itself. But like I said, I'm going to do it so I can have both. Okay, here's the scroll. Everything's nice and vertical. And then you place it into the can. Not real easy to do with one hand. So just place it down in there. And then I'm going to end up having to tamp it down just a little bit. But as you can see, it fits rather snugly. And then I'll just put my lid on top when I'm done. Okay, to start the process of burning of dried distillation, you're going to want to come to your burner, whether it's a fireplace, whether it's an outside burner or a stove or a campfire. You're going to want to take and make a layer of dirt or sand around your drip container. You're going to want to leave a little space around the drip container so that when you put your burning chamber on top, sand doesn't get down in there. Obviously I haven't done a great job of that, but that is the goal. So, and you want this to be a slightly higher than the rim. And then when you set it down, you push down a little bit and you seat it firmly the can right on top of this rim. What you're hoping for is that this sand is going to give you somewhat of a seal, and it's going to allow the tar gases and stuff, oil and tar gases, to drop down into your drip pan and not just go out into the atmosphere. So that's what you're hoping with the sand. So basically you're just going to set, I'm going to try this with one hand, but you're going to set your can right on top and firmly seat it down. If there's any problems, you're going to do this. Obviously you don't want a super tight seal or the gases can't escape, but sand has enough spaces for that gas to get out. And then now you're going to start a fire all the way around and on top of the can. You're just going to put a fire all the way around it and give it about 20 minutes, then take it off. Okay, I got my fire going pretty good here. I was getting a little windy there first time, but I got a fire built all the way around it and on top, so it should start dripping down into the lower container. At this point I can hear it occasionally, so I know it's working, but it is staying steadfast in there and it's not moving around, so hopefully I don't get a lot of ash in it or anything like that. This is all that was left inside the can itself. Rendered it down to pretty much nothing. Got all the oils out of it. Okay, what we have here is the finished product. I did this twice. In the first process, I let it cook for way too long, and it basically rendered down to a hard, barely tacky, non-flammable type of pitch or tar. You can heat it up and it liquefies. You pour it out onto something, like let's say fill a gap, and it will solidify again. But I think it's going to be slightly brittle on you. My second attempt, I'll try to get the camera angle here. You can see it oozing down. You can see it. It is rather oil-like, and but it's going to stay that way at room temperature. This is solid at room temperature. That's just based off how long you cook it. So if you want to, this is more for a waterproofing type of thing, or a tanning type of thing, whereas this is more of a you can also waterproof with this, and then once it dries, but like I said, if it's on a moving joint or anything like that, it will be brittle and might start leaking again, where this is probably going to rub off because it's wet. So if you get in a mixture between these two, it's probably where you want to be, and it'd be more rubbery, tacky, gum-like. What I took here was a little piece of mullein leaf. Took a little piece of mullein leaf and I dipped it down into the tar as it and lit it up. As it gets the heat, it melts and it wicks just like an oil would. It just keeps but it's rather viscous in this stage and would not wick. But once the heat from the wick itself there will allow it to wick that way. So that's basically towards the end of it. There's other things you can do. You can take this and take 2 parts tar, oil, and 2 parts ash, and you can make a paste that you put down, and when it dries, it's going to be more like this, but slightly less rigid. Also, you could add the ash to 1 part ash to 2 parts tar oil, and get some plant fibers and add that to it, and make like almost like a fiberglass once it dries. It's nice that you could have a flame. You could take this into your shelter. You know, the whole thing is not lit at the moment. I could add more flame to it and it would light up the entire wick length. And you could have light inside of your shelter just based off the fuel that you can get from the birch tree. Okay, I'll go through a couple uses here. The oil can be used for face paint. It can be used for disinfectant. You can wipe it on a sore. You can wipe it on a sore, or a small incision, and disinfect that. You can also use the oil for cordage and net treatment, for fishing nets and cordage that's going to get wet, or so it doesn't mildew on you. Leather treatment. There's a big product out of Russia where their leather is treated with birch oil, and they're known for that. Waterproofing, but once again, it's going to rub off, so it would have to be something needs to be added to it, like ash, to allow it to dry and be tacky but not wet. Bug repellent. Be perfect for bug repellent, but the only problem is it's going to dye you a little bit, a brown color, but that's usually not a big deal if you're in the woods and you don't want bugs on you. Also, birch oil is used in perfume, usually it's used for female and male. Once again, it's a flammable liquid fuel. And then the tar can be used as chewing gum. Even this right here, I've taken some of it and broke it off, put it in my mouth, and just the warmth from my body heat keeps it less than peanut brittle, more like a very tough gum to chew. It's kind of slightly sticks to your teeth but doesn't stay on your teeth. But it's actually rather pleasant. Doesn't taste bad, doesn't smell bad. Waterproofing patch with the tar. You might find a canoe or something that had a hole in the bottom of it. You might be able to patch that up. Obviously, you can use it as adhesive. It's been used for adhesive for at least 88,000 years. To put fish hooks to primitive fish hooks, primitive arrows, fletchings, axe heads, anything that you need to use an adhesive for, it will work. But once again, if it's going to stay at a liquid state, unless you're just looking for more of a paste, you're going to have to add some type of additive to it, like ashes. Gap filler. You can have a gap in between two boards, and you know, the sunlight's coming in, or the wind's coming in, or the rain, and you can proof that by pouring that in there. Once again, you would want to add some ash to it to make it hard and firm, or at least you know, slightly rigid. Makeshift band-aid. You know, if it's bleeding, you could pour that right over it. Put that right over that tar, and it's antiseptic, and it should stop the bleeding, and and keep bacteria from getting in there. But those are the ones I have right now. You know, it was quite a project. I tried it a couple times to different effects. I appreciate you watching as usual, and thanks a lot.